Good evening. I'd like to call the Redevelopment Commission meeting for December 2nd to order at 6:34 p.m. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Recupero?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Ms. Dixon?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Rivera? Here. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Teal?
Here.
Ms. Sandberg is absent. Ms. Nagy? Here. Ms. Haskell? Here. Ms. Bazin is absent. Mr. Eldridge?
Present.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Ms. Heiduk is present.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. Item 1, approval of minutes for November 4th, 2025. And item 2, claims, Town Fund 404 in the amount of $162.50. Any questions?
So moved.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Recupero to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Recupero?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Dixon?
Yes.
Ms. Rivera? Yes. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Teal?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. All right, we'll move on to the presentation, residential TIF Q&A. Good evening.
Hey, Tim.
Good evening.
Hello. Members of the Commission, Tim Berry with Crow, financial advisor to the town. And we were asked to do a quick estimate of TIF revenues and then to come up and have a discussion with you, answer some of the questions, and begin the topic of discussion with regards to residential TIF. We were provided a proposed project to use as an example, and this is just for example purposes, and I believe you have copies of the analysis. Great. Based upon data that was provided by the town, that was provided to the developer, by the developer to the town, this is based upon a 98-unit development with average home sale price of $550,000, with a build-out over the next 4 years. 20 units year 1, 50 units year 2, 30 units in year 3, and the remaining 18 units in year 4 of the project. What this analysis would show that in the final year of the development of TIF, there would be approximately $418,000 of revenues that would be generated for the tax increment financing district. Now, what is sometimes discussed with regards to tax increment financing is with regards to residential property. It does require that a TIF is a maximum of 20 years. That is a change over the last few years. The General Assembly shortened that time frame from 25 years to 20 years. And beginning in 2027, it is a decision entirely of the Redevelopment Commission and the Town Council in approving or not approving a TIF. There are a lot of changes that are going to be taking place with regards to residential assessed values. There are a lot of changes that are going to be taking place that will be impacting the revenues that the town will be able to receive to provide necessary services for police and fire and other services that your residents are requiring. this is the last year, and I believe you received notice today that the town will be eligible for receiving their excess levy appeal based upon the growth of assessed values over the last 3 years. This is the last year, according to Senate Bill 1, that the town will be able to receive an excess levy. Property taxes in Indiana, as you all know, are based upon levy. You have a levy or a dollar amount that you were able to collect 1 year, and you were able to raise that levy by a certain percent determined by the state of Indiana, currently 4% annually. That is the extent of what your revenues will be able to increase. If your assessed values grow at 20%, you still only get 4% new money the next year. That is adjusted through the tax rate that is then determined by the Department of Local Government Finance on an annual basis. So many people believe that we are a rate-based system, and when assessed values grow by 15 or 20% in a year, your revenues grow by 15 or 20%. And as you know, that is not the case in Indiana currently. There has been some, for a long period of time, discussion in the General Assembly of changing that to a rate-based system to allow growing communities to grow their revenues to meet the taxpayer demands and service demands of their communities. And that has taken place for as long as I've been around the Indiana State House, and I've been in and out of the State House for the last 25 years, dating back to 1999, prior to me joining Crow 10 years ago. So given the fact that you have limitations with the amount of revenues, the same limitations that libraries have, the same limitations that school corporations have, the same limitations that the county has, and the township, and other jurisdictions that are overlapping the town of Cedar Lake. They all operate off of a levy-based system. The only thing that would impact that levy and being able to collect all of that levy would be the addition of circuit breaker. And we do anticipate some changes to circuit breaker as a result of Senate Bill 1. In the past, the town of Cedar Lake has had a circuit breaker loss of a little over, on average, $100,000. The estimate that the Department of Local Government Finance provided to the town that you included in your budget was a circuit breaker loss of a little over $800,000 in 2026.
That would be a total of $826,800.
That's correct.
And we were given a list showing a lesser amount, but this is the new estimate.
That is the current estimate based upon the impact of Senate Bill 1 and the impact of past histories on assessed values. That was created and determined before they had the final assessed values certified by the Lake County Auditor to the Department of Local Government Finance. So yes, that's correct. They do believe that is a conservative estimate, meaning it is greater than what it will actually be, but they did encourage communities to utilize that estimate within their budget preparation.
So it could go down or it could go up.
That is correct. There is no known impact. It is also estimated that circuit breaker impact may continue to increase. That is because over the next 5 years, as a result of Senate Bill 1, changes in the supplemental homestead credit will increase from where it is currently at 37.5% up to 2/3. So 2/3 of the value of an individual's residential property will be exempted through a homestead supplemental homestead credit, they call it, even though in the future it will be the only homestead credit. And that will increase to that 66.7% range over the next few years to get there. As a result, it is expected that assessed values, overall net assessed values, will decrease because the homestead credits are increasing. As a result, it is expected that property tax rates may increase for units across the state. But again, the net assessed that you are calculating the tax against will be decreasing, thus providing some of the credit that homestead property owners will receive as a result of the intended purpose of Senate Bill 1.
And initially for 2027, it was estimated at a loss of $712,750, and which at that point in time, cities and towns have an option of putting an income tax on the residents.
As of now, cities and towns will have an opportunity to raise up to 1.2% in a local option income tax beginning in 2027 to become effective in January of 2028.
Okay.
Those revenues would then be realized by the town in 2028. Although I will say as well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say there has been a lot of talk about delaying that effective date of the local income tax from 2027 to potentially 2028 or beyond, of when the town council could adopt that. At this point in time, there are no estimates provided by the Department of Revenue, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, to tell you what those estimates might be of what you would be able to realize from a local income tax as such. So many communities are looking at, back to, did you have a question, Julie?
Oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
Go ahead, please.
I just wanted you to explain, like, for the public, what TIF revenue can be used for. You said police and fire salaries, correct?
They can be used for police and fire. They can be used for capital projects related to police and fire, parks and recreation, or other capital projects and improvements, public improvements. I will tell you, while it could be utilized for police and fire operations, I personally do not believe it would be prudent to do so long-term, because at the end of your 20 years, when those TIF revenues go away, you would need to find a way to solve that and that funding gap. So utilizing it for capital projects, fire trucks, police cars, or some operating expenses with a long-term plan of getting off of the use of TIF dollars for those expenses could be a potential use for those residential TIF revenues.
She asked about roads.
Yes.
Use it for roads, okay.
As long as it benefits, and at that point in time, I'm not an attorney, I would want it to turn that over to your counsel or the RDC bond counsel, if you had bond counsel associated with anything. But yes, it typically is associated with projects that benefit the TIF allocation area.
So while it wouldn't be prudent for 20 years, we could give our people some raises and then have to find another funding source.
Correct.
Maybe
That's
Senate
what
Bill
the rug
1.
pulled out from underneath your feet, though. You have to have a plan, you can't just...
Maybe
You have to
Senate Bill
create a
1
plan.
done.
I would encourage you to create a long-term plan to wean yourself off of those from that perspective, yes. While it could in the short term, you certainly want to look at long-term options Maybe that long-term option is through growth in the community that would be realized and expected growth in local income tax dollars that you would realize as a result of the additional residents to the town. That certainly is an advantage of a residential TIF if it does help encourage development and some growth. The state of Indiana has really changed what they're telling communities.
Is that what it's designed for, is to encourage growth and development?
Certainly much of the more recent changes have done so to encourage
So all this
growth.
shake up in the bait and switch and cutting back on a minuscule property tax relief is being sold for this S-Bill 1 and then the provision for the residential TIF. These are all just in a potential income tax of whatever the percentage is.
Residential TIF
I'm just
is
trying.
not an encouragement or a result of Senate Bill 1.
I'm trying to understand though what the thought process was. Maybe you understand. If you don't understand, then just.
I would prefer not to comment on why they chose to do what they chose to do.
Okay.
So residential TIF came before.
It's a way to
Senate Bill
increase taxes though without looking like you're increasing taxes.
I think the General Assembly is encouraging communities that are growing to grow and to give you new opportunities to raise revenues to meet your obligations without increasing additional levies on your property taxpayers. I think there was a desire by the governor to reduce the reliance on property taxes in the state of Indiana and to encourage other opportunities or other means to supplement those revenues. And an income tax grows or stays stagnant based upon what the community is doing. And so it encourages growing communities to have another opportunity to realize additional revenues to meet, because as growing communities have higher costs to meet those demands. As you have more citizens, you have more costs associated with police and fire and providing regular operational services to the community.
Now, I got a question. I thought residential TIF was for bringing development in blighted areas.
Not anymore.
And that's the main purpose.
Not anymore.
That was the original intent.
What's the negative? I just hear all roses, what's good for. What about the negative impacts? What about the schools? Because, you know, if the schools doesn't get money, they're going to turn around, we need another referendum so they can get the money they're losing out.
So I will tell you that schools will receive the same amount of money.
Let the man speak. Republican.
The analysis will show you that the school corporation has a property tax levy, just like the town has a property tax levy. Where the schools would not would be the same way where the township wouldn't or where the town wouldn't, and that would be if there are additional circuit breaker losses as a result of changes in assessments. That is where potentially there could be loss of revenue to a unit. That is also, though, where the town or the Redevelopment Commission could allocate resources to the schools or another unit of government to cover circuit breaker loss that they would not have realized had it not been for the TIF.
And I don't know if any of our neighboring communities have offered that to schools yet, but that'd be something I'd be interested in learning more about, like what percentage can we offer the schools to kind of mitigate, any potential losses?
So if we were to do this analysis further, and if you, as a town council and redevelopment commission, would want to pursue further, we could do, what we did here was a revenue estimate. We could do a full-fledged tax impact statement that is required to establish a TIF allocation area. We could do that, which would then show the impact of loss of revenue to overlapping units as a result of circuit breaker losses.
Libraries and townships also, you know.
Correct.
We always talk about the schools because that's the biggest concern, but also losses to library and
And that is a statement through the creation that prior to the public hearing is required to be distributed to all overlapping units, at least 10 days prior to the adoption of the allocation area. And then there would be the public hearing on that discussion and on those points.
Yeah, because that would be my concern, you know, and an analysis makes sense. And also, lost my train of thought. Oh, so other communities that you've worked with, has that been a factor? Have they factored in like a certain percentage? I'm just trying to think of what is, you know, a fair amount in a comparable community, or do you not have that information?
Anymore, there are no comparable communities because of assessed values, your
over the
makeup of tax revenues, residential, commercial.
We don't have as much commercial as, say, Cherville.
Correct. So that is the benefit of the tax impact statement. That is what that analysis does. That would give you the estimates of the loss of revenues by the overlapping units. You could also, as a redevelopment commission, address it on an annual basis to do a pass-through to a unit if you would so choose to do so.
Have you worked with communities? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Have you worked with communities that have given back to like the schools?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I got a question. What happens, we got a development, and it's gonna be 8 years before they finish? How is that really benefiting us if we're not taking full advantage of that for the full 20 years? If they're not ready to get up and going for the next 3 or 4 years? How is that benefiting us because we're wasting that time?
That's
And then
right.
what happens if the economy turns around and all of a sudden everything stops because the economy tanks?
Well, it's not magic anymore then. Politicians, this is the magic solution for everybody's financial.
So how do you bank on that money that you are banking on?
Well,
Are you paying your bills because basically if, I work overtime, I work 40 hours a week overtime, you know, every day or every week, and I'm gonna base my budget on that, you know, for a household. So I'm working 40 hours extra a week for overtime. I'm not gonna sit there and plan my budget where my bills, I can afford this and this, and all of a sudden, overtime stops. That money that's not guaranteed stops.
and you
Then
know
what
what?
do you do?
That's exactly what Senate Bill 1 did. Senate Bill 1 basically stopped your revenue growth. It stopped your flow of funds to the community to address the needs you have here with local decision-making to determine allocation of dollars to appropriate resources to meet the demands and the needs of your citizens that you represent. Senate Bill 1 limits that growth of revenue. That is exactly what is happening right now, that you are facing beginning next year.
Tim, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You gave us a list of approved uses of these funds. My question is, you know, we're considering salary ordinance this evening, and we have allocations with certain salaries that come from the general fund. are there any concerns if you TIF too large of an area of your town, like too many households? Now all of a sudden that revenue can only be used for approved uses, whereas before it can be used in a broader fashion. Can you start having like deficiencies in other areas? You know, because if it wasn't a TIF district, you would be able to, maybe you have more flexibility for the use of those funds, whereas TIF is limiting. Like, is that ever discussed, or?
Yes. And it's a great question, and very astute to be thinking about that. That's why, you know, quite frankly, we tend to recommend that communities do long-range plans, 3-year budget plans, 5-year budget plans, outlooks on expenditures, but also looking at it by fund to understand where your revenue flows will be coming from by fund and what those estimates are and what those expenditures are. And then knowing where you can supplement from other resources or where you may need to supplement from other resources. Yeah, the big question, going back, and I probably failed to mention it at the time, and I apologize as you were talking about the income tax. You know, Lake County has the most unique local income tax today. You know, the county retains 1% of the income tax, billed as property tax relief. For some, it is property tax relief. For other communities, it is not property tax relief because they're already at the circuit breaker, and so there's no additional relief there. And then the only amount of local income tax dollars that you receive today are the small portion of public safety and economic development. You will be able to allocate whether you want that. And on top of what the town would be able to receive, as it exists today, the county could adopt a fire. It is not fully public safety today as it's written, for fire territories and fire departments up to 0.4% to cover costs of fire. But that would be adopted by the county council as it is written today, not by the town council.
And there we'd have to be part of a fire territory.
Either a fire district or a fire department, fire district, or a fire territory. That is correct.
Can we ask, does anybody ask Sue, if she has any questions for this?
Sue, do you have any questions?
Hang on, no, I think Tim has given me a lot of the information. It is a lot. And, I think all of you are looking at, what are the pros and cons.
Okay.
It's a tool. It is a tool that can be used, but the question is, without an impact study, you're not going to have a broad picture. And if you want the true broad picture to make your decision on, then the impact study has to be done so you can actually see it and have it explained and know what the implications are.
I might also add, I think you asked the question about if it's going to be built out over 8 years. We don't always know how soon a development is going to be built, but oftentimes, based upon the type of development, you can get an indication of how fast. Does the developer have control over the production of the homes? Or are they, dependent upon other builders coming in? Those types of projects tend to be longer term. They tend to be oftentimes higher value, but they also tend to be longer term. I'm not saying that there's a one-size-fits-all approach for residential TIF. I think it's based upon the type of build-out. Given the fact that it's been reduced to 20 years, you want to look at how soon are you going to be able to realize revenues before you do so. And I also want to go back to that comment that I think I started with regards to we are a levy-based state today. If we were to become a rate-based state, some of these discussions may change entirely. And I do know that there have been discussions, but like I said, there were discussions about moving to a rate-based state back in the early 2000s when I was in the State House.
What is a rate-based study?
A rate-based state or a rate?
Yeah.
So, I should have it, and I don't have my computer connected. You have a property tax rate today that is determined based upon your net assessed value and your property tax levy of what you, as a board, pass to collect in property taxes for this year. You take your rate divided by your net assessed value, and you get your and you get a rate. That rate varies year to year based upon your levy and your assessed value for each year. If your assessed value grows faster than your levy does, your property tax rate goes down as a community. When the property tax rate goes down, you relieve pressure upon circuit breaker. When your assessed value does not grow as fast as the levy does, you know, your tax rate will go up. There has been talk that instead of fluctuating the levy, you would take your net assessed value times the town's property tax rate and be a millage type state or a levy type state, and that is your tax rate, and that is what you would collect. And if you wanted more money, in some states, they actually go to the voters and ask for a millage increase or a tax rate increase. It would benefit growing communities because if you're growing faster than the levy, you would realize more revenues. It would put a lot more pressure on those communities that are not growing, those stagnant communities, because they would not realize any new revenue.
Thank you.
I have another question. So you had mentioned using as an example a 98-unit development, houses being around $550,000. How long, let's just say we enacted a TIF in an area such as that, how long before we start seeing the money coming in? Is it house by house?
Yes, it is. So through this calculation here, in 2028, we would estimate, so we estimate that when we did this calculation, we assumed there would be 20 houses starting in 2026 and completed during 2026, prior to January 1, 2027. Those 20 houses would be assessed and would be billed in 2028, so there would be roughly $104,000 of revenue come in 2028. With the additional 30 houses completed during 2028, that total revenue would amount to $260,000 in 2029, $385,000 in 2030, and $418,000 in 2031 and beyond.
Okay, that's for one development, so let's say.
And that is that one
three or
development.
something. Okay.
Based upon, and those were assumptions and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, assumptions on build-out given from the developer of what they would anticipate to build in an annual year.
Correct.
And, just for clarification, those dollar amounts, that's total revenue?
That is total.
So we wouldn't assume that would be our revenue, that's
No.
just total revenue?
That would be total revenue received from the TIF.
Okay.
Remember, over and above that, the schools will continue to receive their allocation and apportionment of any referendum dollars. They do receive their own referendum dollars from the TIF allocation area. Whether it is a residential TIF or a commercial TIF, schools still receive referendum dollars.
Can we ask if there's anyone in the audience that wants to ask Tim a question?
Yeah, do we kind of roll that into public comment, or how do we want to handle that? I was trying to figure out the same thing
Just as
myself.
long as he sticks around to answer.
Yeah, I didn't know if, I was kind of figuring public comment section and
Okay.
do it then, even though it's kind of technically
Sure.
not public comment, it'd be, and this is a Q
Because
and
I
A
think
session,
it's a Q&A, so that's why.
Now, Dave, would you say? Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna probably open up the floor for question and answer for Mr. Barry now, and then we'll still have a public comment on the end.
I had a question just related to what he was.
We need to still name and address for the record, Ms. Parker.
Cheryl Parker, 7227 West 136th Court. You were talking about the number of units. Is that assuming that those are single-family homes only? Or are these single, as the state requires, the residential housing, which is single structures with fewer than 3 families?
These are single family.
Okay, all right. So if those don't sell, if you were saying it's based on, the income is coming in, the funding coming in is based on the houses as they sell and get taxed. What if you have a downturn, like Chuck said, you have a downturn and nothing is gonna come in? You're gonna finance this whole thing through bonds, right? And you would still have to pay the bonds?
Yep.
All right. Should I go
Excuse
sit
me.
down again?
No, you can stand up here, because you may have, I just want to make sure those that are
you could hear
at home can hear and those types of things. There is no bond anticipated through this at this point in time. But this is based upon a builder selling a home to an individual, and an individual buying that new construction build. I would not anticipate, at least where I am, builders will put 1 or 2 spec homes in a development as a model, but they typically are not putting spec homes up at this point in time. They are building homes based upon demand and somebody who has purchased that property already. So there are today property taxes that are charged against that. If somebody doesn't pay those property taxes, the town's not receiving the revenue today, the schools aren't receiving the revenue today, the library's not receiving the revenue today, the township's not receiving the revenue today.
But that's on the base assessed value you're talking about, correct?
That is based upon the...
Increased value, the incremental value goes up, and that difference is what's gonna be the funding.
The TIF funding comes from the assessed value of the home, just like if it's in a TIF or not in a TIF. The same amount, the taxpayer will pay the same tax bill
Oh, I understand.
whether it's in a TIF or not.
But the incremental value as the homes are being built and the value increases, that's what's gonna go, that's what the town is gonna get, that's the TIF funding.
They would-
The assessed value is what's gonna still be collected and go to the schools and the libraries and everything.
The schools and the library in the township, with the exception of circuit breaker impact, as I explained before, would receive the same dollar amount whether it is in a TIF and these TIF dollars are collected by the town, or whether it doesn't, or whether this is developed outside of the TIF. If this is developed outside of the TIF, the schools will not receive any more money
Okay.
unless that would reduce the pressure on the circuit breaker. And then that would be minimal change within that residential area.
Okay. And as far as the TIF, establishing a residential TIF, as I was reading here, it says you have to have, you can't have multi-family housing. You have to have commercial, excuse me, you have to have residential housing.
That is
So
incorrect.
that would be.
In a residential TIF,
Right.
it has to be residential.
And so the developers were, no, you can't have like 8 townhomes in a block.
Well, that would be subject to the Plan Commission to determine what is approved or isn't approved. But,
It said no more than 3 families in a building, that's one of the big things.
so that is in a residential TIF.
Right.
But TIF, a commercial apartment
Right.
project,
We're discussing residential.
can be a part of a TIF.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Tracy Haskell, 13436 Osborne Street, Cedar Lake. I'm the president of the Hanover Board of Trustees.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sean McGill. I'm a senior manager and municipal advisor with Baker Tilly. I've been asked to attend on behalf of the school corporation.
3 years ago, I did stand in front of 3 of you who were on the board at that time. Residential TIFs do hurt the school district. I understand that he just tried saying that we still get funds. If you think about it, you look at your tax bill and it's broken down to who gets what. Residential TIF, the town gets all of that. County doesn't get anything, the library doesn't get anything, the township doesn't get anything, the school district doesn't get anything. We're hit with Senate Bill 1 just like you guys are. So I totally understand where you guys are doing right now. You need funds for the police department, you need funds for the fire department, you need funds for the town. I get that. This is not going to be your quick fix, because you're going to be hurting the school district for 20 years. We just had to buy a new bus. 5 years ago, it was $95,000.
167.
$175,000. And we have to wait 2 years for it. When you do a residential TIF, we still have to buy a bus to pick up those kids in that subdivision. If you say, just like Lawton tried saying 3 years ago, it's going to be 55 and older, we still have school-age kids in a development for 55 and older. You go on the Beacon Point, go door to door, there's young families there with school-age kids. You can be 55 and still have kids in school yourself, or you can be a grandparent raising your own grandkids. They're still in the school. We still have to take care of those kids and not get tax funds. I mean, would you want the township to say to somebody, I can't help you because we don't receive tax funds from where you live? No, Hanover Township or any other township in this town should take care of anybody who needs help. Just like the school district would still have to take care of those kids. But how do we function then? You know how we just went through the referendum. That was our Operation Referendum. Cedar Lake and St. John have been hitting us with so many developments. We had to do a referendum for builds. We built new schools, and guess what? You guys are still building, and we're full again. And then you want to take taxes away for us to get impacted with more kids. Where do we get those tax dollars from? When we have to do another we have to do another referendum. Taxpayers don't want to keep paying our referendums, but what else are we going to have to do? It's hard.
Ms. Haskell, I just want to clarify something, because this could scare people that are watching. This is for information. Like, I personally don't want to do this. You know, we want to learn about it and have the community involved in this. so.
But you also have to think about, it's for 20 years.
Mhm.
So you might think of it as a quick fix. It's not a long-term one, but for 20 years, that hurts a school district, it hurts a township, it hurts a library, and also hurts county. I also, the analysis you guys received, I'm a liaison for Hanover. I used to receive packets before meetings. I didn't receive one. Is there any way I can get a copy of that?
Yeah. It's up. Yeah, it was online also.
All right. Go
Yeah,
right ahead.
if I may.
Absolutely.
If I may? Thank you. There's just a few points I'd like to clarify from a school corporation's perspective. First and foremost, Mr. Berry, excellent presentation. I don't disagree with a single thing that was presented this evening. I think what needs to be understood is, and I'm not an attorney, but the legal argument for a TIF district is if but not for the TIF allocation, would development occur? And so, from a school corporation's perspective, especially with a referenda on where, let's say you're capturing what is today $200,000 of assessed valuation that is undeveloped, so minimal property taxes are being paid on that property. As that property is developed over the course of that development, the school corporation will receive property taxes from that increment, from that increased assessed valuation in the form of its referendum levy. What is potentially a net negative impact to the school corporation, and when we perform these kind of impact statements for proposed TIF districts, we feel a starting point as a reasonable assumption is that for every single-family home, 0.3, you multiply it by 0.3, and that's the number of school-age children that may be expected to increase enrollment at the school corporation. So while the school corporation does receive education funding, that is dollars from the state dedicated specifically towards classroom instruction, including teacher pay, programming, salary and benefits, things of that nature. It does not account for transportation costs, increases in things that are required to come from property taxes. Now, that depending on how they've structured their referendum, the increase in that levy could potentially make that up, but that's something that the impact statement would confirm. As Mr. Berry mentioned, the school corporation's property tax levies are determined based upon the maximum levy growth quotient, which I'm sure the town is well familiar with, essentially a rate at which a maximum that it can increase that levy year over year. So it's historically, especially over the past, I want to say 5-6 years, it has really not kept pace with costs, meaning that operations fund dollars are continuing to be strained, which is why we see a lot of our clients issuing debt as a means of supplementing capital projects that would otherwise be funded through that capital or that operations fund levy. Additionally, a point that was mentioned was about local income taxes, and that's a huge change that has a lot of us concerned, especially me. I do a lot of work in Lake County. There is a local income tax allocation in Lake County that essentially reduces property tax bills by 18%. That's property tax replacement. That calculation, that reduction occurs before circuit breaker is calculated. So SEA 1 has mandated that property tax replacement goes away in 2028. So if you think about the way circuit breaker functions for homeowners, limiting a property tax bill outside of a referendum to 1% of the gross assessed valuation, if you have an 18% reduction prior to circuit breaker, if that 18% reduction goes away and everyone is at their cap, That means circuit breaker is going to increase by roughly 18% in 2028. That is not just for the school corporation, that's for really any municipal unit throughout Lake County that is at or near their circuit breaker cap for homeowners. Additional deductions included in Senate Enrolled Act 1 place more uncertainty around future revenues. Depending upon how the TIF is structured, it sounds as if you're considering a pay-as-you-go situation. Generally, in the contracts that I've seen, there is essentially a reserve involved within the contract that will insulate against kind of any uncertainty or fluctuation or volatility that might be anticipated within those revenues. So depending upon either how the debt that funds the development is structured or the contract that you enter into with the developer is structured, there are mechanisms that are able to insulate any potential negative impact to the town based upon the volatility of revenues. In closing, it really goes back to the if but not for argument. So without the TIF district, would development occur? Is your community growing? And in which case, is the TIF necessary to spark this development? If it is not, then you're essentially subdividing something that may not require taxpayer resources. And that would be, I think that determination is up to you as a council. It's not something that an advisor can make for you.
So Baker Tilly does work with municipalities on enacting residential TIFs, or is that not in their wheelhouse?
So largely, that's a council function, but we certainly do a lot of work, as does Crow, by the way, on structuring and doing the analysis and things of that sort.
Okay, so have any communities you've worked with, or any of your colleagues worked with, come up with some sort of formula to offset any loss to the schools?
Yes, absolutely. And typically what I've seen is we can do analysis that informs, on the school side, we can do analysis that would say increased cost would be X. Let's say, if you wanted to be ultra conservative, you could say, let's say that this development occurred without a TIF district, and then we can compare that to what
if it had
the TIF district, and we'll come up with a number, and then it's simply a negotiation and an agreement between the two municipal units on what kind of revenue sharing
Okay, so
makes
your
sense.
firm has a lot of knowledge on that.
As does Crow.
And Julie, with that, and Tara can probably answer a little bit better because she was sitting in the meeting with St. John, because Hanover did sit with St. John for 2 hours. St. John right now, I believe, have 2 residential TIFs in Hanover Township. One of them, they're giving, it's $10,000, I believe, after all the homes are finished, a year to Hanover. But there was no going through and evaluating like he just said.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, here's a flat amount. And when we worked out everything, our finance guy was even there, Baker Tilly even told them, it still doesn't come to what we would normally get. So, I mean, yes, we are getting something from that one development, but it's still not what we would normally get. And of course, the other one, we're getting nothing. So it just...
That's unfortunate.
You already have 2, and the thought of a third one coming on, and they're thinking of a third one in for Hanover Township. So technically, this is like, as a school district, it's hard to hear, because...
It certainly doesn't keep up the cost of building schools, it doesn't sound like.
Well, if we keep getting these kids, we're a referendum state. We only have one way to get funds for a building. And what are people gonna say when we say, hey, our high school is too small, but we keep getting these kids in, we gotta put them somewhere.
Yep.
But then we keep getting tax money taken away from us. I mean, it's hard, plus Senate Bill 1 is hard. It's hard, and I get it. And I get You guys are trying to find options, but the school district can only get hit so many times.
So this one is in West Creek Township as an example, I believe, just so you guys know. It's just an example we used, but this one I believe is in West Creek. Oh, sorry.
Now, once you come up with a set amount to pay back to the schools, can you change that throughout the 20 years? Okay. I'm getting a nod.
Yeah.
I'm taking the nod. Thank you.
The Redevelopment Commission is required annually
Okay.
to determine, one, if you are going to pass through assessed value to any of the corresponding units on an annual basis by June 15th of each year. So you do that analysis then. You also can do, if there is a hard dollar that was referred to, transfer, that's can be determined on an annual basis as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kevin Tolk, 9725B West 129th. Just a couple of questions. First of all, you keep saying that this isn't going to affect anything like what the townships get or the schools get or whatever, but it's my understanding that none of the overlapping units are going to receive anything from the improved value on the land. So when the houses are built and the new taxes are put on them, the overlapping units will receive nothing, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so that means township schools, nobody, that part of the tax that we're all paying right now, those homeowners will not pay.
No.
But we are still going to be expected to provide services to those.
That is not correct.
So we're not. How is that not correct?
So the dollar amount of the township's levy, the dollar amount of the school corporation's levy will be looked at on an annual basis. You will then take the net assessed value of everything outside of the TIF to determine what the tax rate is. That tax rate that all other taxpayers will pay on their tax bill, which is the same tax rate that the individuals within the allocation area will pay. But those dollar amounts will be equivalent to meet your property tax levy. The same as it is calculated today, you will get the same dollar amount of your property tax levy. So how that will be changed is there will be a small incremental increase in the tax rate than what it would have been if the TIF had not been generated. But it's the same rate, going back to the but-for, that would have if the development doesn't occur at all anyway.
But the people who live inside that TIF district, their tax dollars will be captured. So their tax dollars will not be actually funding the schools or the township. They will be captured by the community, right, by the town. So they technically will not be paying into any of those. The tax rate,
Assuming,
I understand the tax rate. But what I'm saying is we will receive no funding from those properties inside the TIF.
You will receive the same dollar amount funding,
But not from those homes.
those taxpayers, unless the Redevelopment Commission would pass through dollars.
That's part of my problem, and that's the way I understand it, is because the townships and everybody else will have to provide those services, and it's going to be paid for by everybody outside of that TIF district.
But the township will receive the same dollar amount. I just want to make sure that that...
But if a homeowner from inside the TIF district, after a year or two living in that home, comes to the township and says, I can't pay my mortgage this month, township, I need you to pay it for me, can you help me? I'm gonna be giving them money, and they didn't pay any taxes into the township.
It's the same thing as if there's another individual that's not paying their property tax bill today.
Because other people
that is within the
paying-
township.
They've been
Yeah.
paying their taxes, they have to into the township. I
So-
just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
And then one other question, and of course, this is what Mr. Becker was saying earlier. The thing that scares me about the TIF districts is, and I think you brought it up, is a lot of communities now, what they're doing is they're setting up these TIF districts, and then they're going out, as soon as they pass them, and they're taking out tax anticipation loans on what
the expected revenue is of that TIF, and I agree completely. What happens if it doesn't sell out in a certain amount of
Get
time?
addicted to it and it dries up.
Yep, and that's,
They can't take out a tax anticipation warrant on that, sir.
well, that's not what I heard, that these communities are, that they're taking out they are taking out loans on the expected revenues of those TIFs.
A residential TIF? No.
That's not what I heard was being done.
First of all, a bondholder is going to want to see history, and there's no history of revenues coming in from the development. So you would not be able to sell those bonds. What mostly is occurring in redevelopment districts and in TIF districts, and that's not being anticipated here, is a developer-backed bond where a developer buys their own bond and that's typically in a commercial residential, or in a commercial TIF.
Okay, so the developer is buying back his own bonds, but they still have to be paid back.
With his own money. So there is no risk to the town, and it transfers all of the risk to the developer when you have a developer bond. There is no risk at all to the town in the way that those bonds are structured.
Thank you.
It's based upon the percentage of property tax revenues that are paid.
Barb Orsey, 10290 West 138th Place. Well, I wasn't expecting to see TIFs on the agenda, so maybe my knowledge is a little bit rusty, but I'm not a fan of residential TIFs. I'm not a fan of commercial TIFs that much because I don't think that they're used in the proper way that they were originally developed, but that's a separate thing. So the way I look at TIFs is ultimately with the tax money, and I'm going to approach this from a homeowner's perspective, that all we're doing is rearranging the deck chairs. Meaning, if I have, and I'm going to take all the stuff about all the, that Senate Bill 1 and all that circuit breaker and all that hoo-ha out of it and keep it simple. So if I have a tax bill now of $4,000, let's say, I'll say $3,000 goes to the school. So I pay my bill every year, the school gets their share. So now I am in a TIF district, and I'm buying a house in a TIF district. Now the land below my house, before there was a house on it, the tax bill was $1,000. So the school gets $300, okay, of that $1,000. So now the land is developed, I've got the house, I've got a tax bill of $4,000, but instead of the school getting the $3,000 that they were getting before for me to be living in that house, they're still only getting $300, plus whatever the referendum might pull in. So you tell me how you support schools, where's the money going to come from? Where's the remainder of that $2,700 going to come from to support the schools? Where's the money going to come from to support police, fire, EMS? Where's it going to come from?
The tip.
So what's the point of having a TIF then? Why don't I just tax the house the same as, that TIF house the same as my house? Where's the benefit?
Because the town is limited in what they can raise.
But you still are talking about the same amount of money?
No.
Oh, you're going to put all that other stuff in there. But my guess is it's probably, now, the other question that I have is, and this is old information, I was with the understanding that only a certain amount of residential TIF money can be used for education or for city services like police and fire. It's not like you can just take as much of it as you want. Take as much of that $3,000 of TIF money and just allocate it where you want. I don't think that's true, but maybe it's changed since the last time I looked. So isn't that?
Since 2023, communities can now utilize residential TIF revenues to pay for police and fire.
How much?
A minimum of 5% of TIF revenues must be utilized, residential TIF revenues shall be utilized to pay police and fire. And it can be much higher than that based upon the individual community's allocation and determination.
Two other questions. Now, the TIFs, they're funded through bonds, is that correct?
No.
They're not.
They may be, but they are not required to be. And I would state that most TIFs are not funded through a bond today, or a traditional bond today.
Oh, it's the asterisk.
Well, I don't think any bond is being anticipated in this case.
Well, then, how are you financing this TIF?
The TIF revenue comes in from the taxpayer in the form of TIF revenues.
And you're assuming that you're going to get a certain amount based on building homes, is that correct?
It's based upon the assessment and the assessed value. So the county assessor determines the assessed value on the home. They utilize that assessed value and they certify that dollar amount into the increment in the county auditor's office.
Yes.
They certify those assessed values to the Department of Local Government Finance to determine the calculation of property tax rates and property tax bills.
Sure.
The county auditor,
I understand.
I'm just going through the whole process.
You don't have.
Well, I'm doing it for everyone else's benefit as well. The county auditor will calculate those tax bills. Those taxpayers within the allocation area will receive a tax bill, just as every other taxpayer receives a tax bill based upon what they own. If they pay it, those allocations will go from the auditor to the Redevelopment Commission. If they don't, it goes through the same process as through eventually a property tax sale if those property taxes are not paid.
One other question and a comment. Who administers these TIF funds? Who's responsible for
The Redevelopment Commission.
which, for the entirety of the 20 years of the TIF?
Yes.
Well, you know, I don't know about that. I'm kind of old. I probably wouldn't live that long. So it's going to change over, correct? I'm assuming. Well, no, the
As
point.
it exists today, the town council serves as the redevelopment commission for the town of Cedar Lake.
So they're the ones that, so it's not like 2 or 3 people that somebody appoints that.
Correct.
Gets to.
Today, as it is today, the town council serves as the redevelopment commission.
And my last, I guess, my question is, how many other communities in Indiana thus far actually have used residential TIFs? And can you name names?
Many. I can't tell you how many. I could ask the Department of Local Government Finance. I'm not the keeper of that data, ma'am. The Department of Local Government Finance is. Every TIF allocation area is registered on the gateway system that Department of Local Government Finance has. and each of those TIF allocation areas are determined by county. So you can look by Lake County or any other county in the state and go through a listing of every TIF allocation area. You would be able to see the governing documents of that TIF, when it was established, and what the uses of those dollars are for.
Okay, and am I correct in then assuming too that residential TIFs have only been around for a couple of years? So the long-term effects of a community having a TIF and actually using it, we don't really know how it's working out, do we? We have one or 2 years of data, maybe?
Oh, no. There are residential TIFs that date back further than that. I will say, yes. I will, yes.
I don't think so.
I will state that there are many more lately, but there were and have been communities. In most cases, those, though, were related to age-based residential TIFs, over 55 communities, prior to the recent change in legislation in 2023.
I think that's all. Thank you for your information. All I'd just like to say again, and wrap it up, in my mind, all you guys are doing with TIFs, residential TIFs, is rearranging the deck chairs. So, have at it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Terry Broadhurst, 631 North State Street, Lockport, Illinois, representing my property here in Cedar Lake at 14513 Morris. As a future builder and a future resident, this does pertain a lot to me. But as I sat and listened to both the presentation and the questions and the comments and questions from the board, it almost seems to become more confusing. Fortunately, it's not confusing to me. What I've heard all night is we're just rearranging the money. We're blowing a lot of smoke here, guys. We're talking about 90 homes, and maybe you can answer this question. We're talking about 90 homes over the course of 8 years, I think you said, and you said it was going to generate $418,000. Not all at once, but over the course. Now, I guess the biggest question we should be asking ourselves right now, guys, is what's the difference if we don't do a TIF on 90 homes in the same location with the amount of people that want to build in Cedar Lake? Do we need a TIF at all? Because in all reality, everything that's been spoken about here tonight, the only people benefiting in this TIF, the financiers. The taxpayers are going to pay for it. The school is going to wait for it. They're going to blow all the smoke they want. And, okay, the redevelopment committee gets to control a little bit more of the pie. I get that. But I don't think that's what you guys want. Mr. President, you had talked about community involvement. And I'm sorry.
He's the president
I'm
now.
sorry. Mr. Recupero, you had talked about
time
a different board, and I do apologize, Mr. President. You had talked about community involvement, which is huge at this situation, because we've heard about it 3 or 4 times tonight about how schools have to stand before the town, before the public, before the voting base, and ask for the money through a referendum. Well, here we're going to have 7 people voting on raising taxes and changing the structure of how things are done over the course of 20 years, and nobody knows whether we're going to gain $1 out of it, other than paying these financiers their cost of doing business. So what I'm saying, and we know how everybody wants to start building. Everybody in this town knows how every one of these 3 developers wants to put shovels in the ground tomorrow. Do we really need to pay these financiers to arrange our money, or do we have enough? With all the people that have been doing it all this time, these things are 2 years old. These people are getting paid to sell them. They don't care whether they work or not. So I question that. If we're talking about community involvement and we make our schools ask for this money through public referendums, then if we're going to talk about changing the structure of all of our tax bases here in town, Why don't we do a referendum on that? Why don't we ask the public how they feel about restructuring this? Because the developers will hold property at less tax dollars over the course of 20 years. The financiers will be paid percentages on top of every deal they make, and we'll pay for every one of it.
He's
Thank
not
you.
being paid percentages. I would like, Tim, who's been very patient with all of us, and thank
Excuse
you,
me.
to answer that.
I just want to comment that.
Are you getting rich off this, Tim?
Baker Tilly, Crow, we are not financiers. We are financial, excuse me, sir. I did not interrupt you. We're municipal advisors registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We are not financiers. We do not get a percentage of bonds. We do not sell. We do not get a percentage of these revenues. That is not anything related to that. And back to your comment with regards to $400,000. That's correct. I'll get there. It was $104,000 in 2028, $260,000 in 2029, $385,000 in 2030, $418,000 in 2031. And it would be roughly that same dollar amount for the next 16 years.
Now, how much would it be if we didn't do the tip for the same houses?
Zero.
Amount of assessed value?
Zero.
So they're not gonna pay taxes?
No, there would be no additional revenues generated.
How is this additional to you? How is this additional to you?
You don't have to answer. You didn't come here for that. You gave a presentation, and it was very, very well.
No.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate that we have fiduciary duties. We don't make any money off any debt or anything. We're regulated by the SEC to maintain our fiduciary duty, which requires us to act in the best interest of our clients. I make a salary. Any bonus or anything like that I receive is based upon client satisfaction. So it's actually in my best interest that everything goes swimmingly so that I can work less, because I would make the same amount of money. I could easily go work for a financier and drive an hour the other way down the road to Chicago and make a lot more money. But I live in this community. I believe in the work that I do, and I see the positive results of it. So I understand the suspicion, these clothes were on sale, by the way, I know they may look nice, but I do feel that I have to defend the work that we do.
I'm not
I understand.
talking about the work you're doing, I'm talking about whether or not we need your work.
Absolutely, I completely understand, and that goes back to.
Because you guys have a lot of explanation about how you're getting paid and how you're not getting paid.
Uh-huh.
How does your bosses get paid? Who pays them? Who pays the people that pay your salary? How does your company get paid and who pays them?
It's a partnership, and so all fees are negotiated.
Hey, we're gonna get back to the presentation here instead of arguing on who gets paid what.
Thank you for that. So, I think one thing that seems to be misunderstood is where exactly these fees are coming from. And so what we're talking about is $550,000 homes to a tune of about 90 of them. Well, that's about, $50 million of gross assessed valuation. By 2031, the net assessed valuation of that, or the portion upon which taxes are paid, is going to be 1/3, so that's about a little under $20 million. Based upon West Creek Township's current total tax rate, that includes the county, the town, the city, that equals about $418,000 a year of those incremental assessed values. So depending upon how the district is set up, it doesn't have to be 20 years, it's a maximum of 20 years. So those $418,000 can be looked upon as an investment, a long-term investment that is required for this development to occur, whether it's for 20 years or for 5 years or whatever is required in your judgment, to make the development occur. After which, when the TIF district sunsets, that $20 million of assessed valuation goes back to all the units. So the argument is not, should we tie these dollars up in perpetuity? It's, should we make this investment now so that in 5, 10, 20 years, whatever the documents, the legal structure of the district stipulates when sunset occurs, that releases all of that now developed assessed value to all the local units, which then brings property tax rates down, or in a rate-based system, like such as the school's operating referendum, increases the dollars received on the exact same tax rate. That's what a TIF district's intent is. I just wanted to clarify that. I feel like it may have gotten lost in all of the comments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming, too.
All right, I think we should move on since we have a council meeting and we're definitely well over. We're gonna move on to school board liaison comments. Ms. Haskell?
Hi. We're finishing up the first half of the school year. There's a lot of, games and Christmas programs and everything. You can always go on the district website, calendar's there. All those events are open to the public. You guys wanna go to a little concert at the elementary school, middle school, high school? Those are all welcome for the public to go to. And that's pretty much it.
And happy birthday.
Yep.
All right, Bob, you have something from MacArthur?
I got the newsletter from MacArthur Elementary. I sent that out to everybody, and the only thing that I spotted in there that isn't past history is December 22nd starts Christmas break, as I call it, or winter break, and they return back on January 6th.
Thank you, Bob. Council have anything else to add? All right, I did not receive any written communication. You have not seen anything, Margot?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on to public comment for redevelopment. Public comment for redevelopment. That was a part of the question and answer. This is just public comment section now, so.
I have one last, related to what you were, I'm sorry.
Sean McGill.
Sean McGill, okay. Go ahead to repeat it, so I was already up there, my name.
I mean, for public comment, I think we can. Yeah.
We've got our
Cheryl
address.
Harper, 7227 West 136th Court. So Sean was talking about, with the residential TIF, the but-for stipulation. So discussing all this and how everything works, is this the first step to determine even if you can do a residential TIF in an area? Would that be number one to look at? According to Indiana law?
That's an excellent question for your attorney and someone who's qualified to answer that, but in my experience, the legal justification for a TIF district is the determination that if but not for this allocation, would development occur. I don't believe that there is a right or wrong answer to that. It's simply up to the greater judgment of the elected council.
So in our case, we're looking at the east, we're looking at the east side of Cedar Lake, and as somebody mentioned that there's developers who are looking to develop here already, that would be something we would look at. If we are gonna get the revenue without the TIF, then the question would be, do we really need a residential TIF established?
That's the greater argument, and that's the fundamental pro and con. Exactly.
Okay.
That's the decision. Is this? You can look at a TIF district as a subsidy for development, and the question then becomes: would this development occur without the subsidy? Do we need to allocate?
And if the answer is yes, it would. We don't really need to.
That's for their determination.
All right, so second question is, cost benefit analysis, that would be something that they would need to then look into to also determine.
The required impact studies that are required to be sent to all the local units impacted would serve as that cost benefit analysis.
All right, thank you.
All right. Second call, public comment.
I got a question. if they do a impact study, how much would that run? How much is that something would roughly, if, you know?
Yeah, that
nothing
tax
was done?
impact statement, Mr. Berry, how much, does that come with a set price, or how, what's the determination on that?
Can you ballpark a number on that?
We certainly could provide information to you. I can get you a figure and an estimate,
Okay.
based upon the number of parcels associated and included, and the data with which we are downloading from Gateway of the counties.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terry Broadhurst, 631 North State Street, representing 14513 Morse Street here in Cedar Lake. Oh, I'm sorry, 631 North State Street, Lockport. I just had a follow-up question. I didn't seem to get the answer on who he was actually working for, this gentleman behind me. And then it sounded like, was he hired by our town or the redevelopment committee?
Nobody's been hired yet.
No, but he is.
But who sent him here, though? Was that you guys requested?
We did, he's with Crow.
But was that by your guys' request?
Yes, yeah.
Hold on,
Presentation.
we're contracted out to use Crow for a myriad of other things,
I'm sure.
not residential TIF.
I'm sure.
It's
We're trying
your
to
financial
understand
advisor, he's a financial advisor for the town.
So we are to understand, and you guys requested this presentation, so the
Correct.
request came from the
Correct.
town.
Yes.
Thank you. That cleared up some stuff, thank you.
All right, third call for public comment for redevelopment. Anybody online?
No, sir.
All right, public comment is closed. We're gonna probably take a 5-minute
Yeah,
recess or
5-minute
anything.
recess for the
This
restroom.
meeting is adjourned at 8 PM.
Welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Town Council meeting for December 2nd, 2025. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for an opening prayer? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening.
Hi.
Reverend Tom Norwalk from Zion United Church of Christ. Would you pray with me? Gracious God, we gather tonight with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. We gather with elected officials and dedicated citizens seeking to promote the health and welfare of this gathered community. Bless the members of this council with wisdom and patience and goodwill, and may all business decisions be guided with fairness and respect so that all voices are heard and considered. As we listen to one another, we gain the power of ideas and visions. May the work we do in this place provide for the common good of all of our citizens now and into the future. Bless us with your presence, we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for sticking around. Thank you. This meeting is called to order at 8:08 p.m. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Here.
Julie Rivera?
Here.
Nicholas Ricciotto?
Here.
Chuck Becker?
Here.
Greg Parker?
Here.
Mary Joan Dixon?
Here.
Richard Steele?
Here.
Jennifer Sandberg Bassett? Ann Margot Nagy? Vin Ellsworth?
Present.
And David Austin.
Present.
Thank you. We'll open the floor for public comment on agenda items only. Public comment on agenda items only. Second call. Last call. Anybody online, Ms. Nagy?
No.
Okay, thank you. Public comment on agenda items only is now closed. Consent agenda. 1, claims, all town funds, $688,658.27. Wastewater operating, $269,973.21. Water utility, $16,482.57. Stormwater, $14,360.89. Payroll, November 20th, 2025, and December 1st, 2025, $320,951.72. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Becker to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We have one claim for milestone for AA and AB, and that's the streets that we paved up behind Premier Fitness and just north of State Farm in the amount of $507,094.62. Is that a final payment or a partial payment?
Sue, that was the first, I think there was only a little bit left on it.
So there's still probably a little bit more?
Retainage or something, maybe?
I think the retainer, that's it, the balance retainage.
There is still retainage.
All right. And I noticed there wasn't any wastewater claims going to Low, so our next docket will probably have money that we'll be pulling out of our funds to pay
I
that.
don't think we received an invoice from Lowell for this month are you talking about the $105,000?
No, I talked to Sarah and she said that we had paid the bills the 1st of November, and I asked why there wasn't any on the docket in the third Tuesday, and she said that was because we paid it in the first meeting.
I believe there were 2 bills that we received from Lowell at the same time.
So,
Because the 1 month the invoice wasn't sent out, so Joe Murr sent both invoices at the same time. I believe that's why.
so we'll probably have some on our next docket.
We'll see.
All right, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no more discussion, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 1521, year 2026 salary ordinance. By title only, please, Mr. Parker.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1521. An ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1481, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the year 2026, and repealing all ordinances and parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hayes, good evening.
Hello.
Hello. Could you give us, an overview of what we got here, please?
Well, the ordinance, it's verbiage in the ordinance itself. As you know, it sets forth your longevity pay, your holidays for the fire department and for the remaining of the town. And then your Exhibit A is where we show you what the maximum amount possible for the different positions. I would like to draw your attention to the clerk treasurers. We did put in for the clerk treasurer with no credentials, and that is just bookkeeping, so that an inexperienced clerk treasurer would come in at a lower salary than a credentialed clerk treasurer. The other things is that, like on the clerk treasurer, the current clerk treasurer, we put in the highest or the most recent credential that they got. We also added that to the chief deputy clerk treasurer, and then the deputy clerk, no credentials, and the deputy clerk IAMC is the same as it was last year. You also moved your utility account specialist out of the clerk treasurer's department, and you put it back under your control, town council and administration. And the rest, there are no increases. I think there was a rounding of a penny, Margot, wasn't it?
Yes, for paramedics.
In one item, so that we wouldn't have that issue,
That's correct.
okay, in one of the rates. But other than that, everything is virtually the same. We did add on A3, the final page, in the notes, we wanted to make sure that it was very clear from the written ordinance to the Exhibit A ordinance that all wages for hourly employees may be lower than stated, and then biweekly wages for salaried employees may be lower than stated. Biweekly amounts stated are not to exceed. And then it does state that hourly and biweekly rates shown for the employees may be rounded. That stayed the same. And then your last one about the distributions may be adjusted. That was the same. I don't know that there is any other changes. Our allocations really stayed the same. Margot, I wasn't aware that we made any changes in allocations.
No changes to the allocations.
Okay. I didn't get that. Could you try again? And that's it. There was, in keeping with what we placed in the budget for this year, which we have not heard back yet on our 1782 notice, which lets us know what has been approved. There were no increases as stated in October when we made the presentation, and then in any of the discussions we had previous to that too. And that was all done out of caution due to what you heard in the Redevelopment Commission as far as Senate Bill 1. Nobody is quite knowledgeable. No, we have got no numbers out of the state to know exactly what the impact will be on our bottom line.
Okay. we keep beating a dead horse on that, Sue, but it's the reality of the situation. We just don't know, and I'm thankful that there are no cuts. But we have to, you and I talked about this, that we have to see how the settlement or the tax disbursement, tax settlement goes mid-year to really see where we're at. That's gonna be some data for us, which we don't have now.
Exactly, and I had talked to Tim Berry earlier, and, you know, we had said we are hoping to see more data, more information out of the state, so we may be able to anticipate better cut for the June distribution, but we are not, we just don't know. That is the issue, we don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Sue or Margot?
I have one thing just to mention that was changed, the salaried, non-exempt employees are going to hourly instead of the biweekly salary.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Same overall pay?
Same pay amount, it's just their pay will be from the set salary every week to hourly. It's better bookkeeping.
Okay. Fair enough. And this is a 2-reading ordinance?
It is.
Okay. So we've had the introduction, we had the first reading, discussion. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1521?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Ms. Dixon to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1521. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Is this something that we want to do a second reading tonight, or we,
That's up to you.
okay,
You have the lineup, so you can do it.
okay. Nothing's gonna change from here on.
If I may?
Yes.
It would benefit the payroll program and for us to get all of these changes in. I mean, you know, to make sure that the salaries are okay, because we have to make the changes in UKG, which is the timekeeping system, to change those salaried non-exempt employees, because it's based on salary, to make the changes to hourly.
So, time is
And we
of
would
the essence?
appreciate it.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get a motion
All
for
right,
you,
thank
Mark. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules and allow for a second reading?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Becker, seconded by Mr. Teal to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Second reading of ordinance number 1521 by title. Mr. Parker, please.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1521. An ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1481, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the year 2026. And repealing all ordinances and parts thereof in conflict herewith.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance number 1521?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Ms. Dixon to adopt ordinance number 1521. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinance 1521 is adopted. Thank you.
Payroll, thank you.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas. Ordinance, number 2, ordinance number 1523, an amendatory ordinance to Cedar Lake Board of Safety Town Code, section 34.182. This item was deferred on November 18th, 2025.
I'm gonna make a motion to remove this item from the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Parker to remove. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Becker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
No.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
No.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 4-3.
No,
Oh,
5-2.
Sorry, 5-2.
I thought it was 5-2.
Okay. 5-2. The roll call's wrong. Moving on to new business, boards and commission appointments. We have 7 openings. I'm looking for a motion to appoint to the Board of Safety Charlie Caper, to the Board of Zoning Appeals Ray Jackson, Parks and Recreation David Justice, Plan Commission John Capora and Jerry Wilkening, Stormwater Board Jeff Beal, and Unsafe Building Commission John Hojek. Is there a motion to approve these appointments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Mr. Becker, to appoint the individuals to the boards and commissions. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 2, favorable recommendation from the Board of Safety to proceed with purchase of 2026 vehicles. Chief Kruszka?
Well, what we're looking at is, we were with the safety board the other day, we received a favorable recommendation to proceed here. We're looking at 3 2026 Dodge Durangos. We met with, Ms. Sandberg prior to her going on leave. We discussed how much we had in the capital fund. We're pretty close to the 3 vehicles, but we can purchase, outfit them out of there. So I would say I would ask for the motion to be up to 3 vehicles. If we don't have the money in it, or if we can't get that 3rd vehicle, we'll just get 2.
Okay, fair enough.
I totally support continuing to get, vehicles, because when my brother was on the Cedar Lake Police Department, we had all used state police vehicles, and they were all multicolored. It was called the Rainbow, fleet. And so we've improved, drastically, and I would like to continue that to move forward, and
Even if they're not Fords?
I can't debate that.
I got a question.
I want to make a motion.
Mr. Becker has a question.
We still have money left over from the squad car that was totaled, don't we?
We do. These are unmarked units, so the upfitting will come down. Some of the estimates that I've been putting together, I've gone on the high side, just in case. So I came up with with upfitting, everything, around $61,000. But since they're unmarked, we could probably drop $3,000 off each car, maybe a little more. Some of the equipment, maybe a little more there too. So I think it's doable, but I just think it's better if we just safeguard it and say up to 3.
So if we stick, it seems like Durangos are where your department's going. As these Durangos get cycled through, the equipment cost maybe is a little less because some of the stuff can change over from Durango to Durango? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. And we also, for the record, we have a letter from the Board of Safety stating that this is a 4-to-1 favorable recommendation to Town Council to approve the purchase.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion made by Mr. Carnahan, seconded by Mr. Becker, to approve the Board of Safety's recommendation to proceed with the purchase of up to 3 2026 Dodge Durango vehicles. Does that sound good? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not done with you. Number 3, favorable recommendation from the Board of Safety to proceed with purchase of firearms.
Well, it's time, probably to replace our handguns. I'm not a gun guy, I just know how to qualify with them and shoot. So I brought Corporal Hoopenthal here, who's one of our firearms instructors and very knowledgeable on that, and who brought this to our attention. So if you don't mind, Jake.
Hey, you can come on up.
Do you guys have any questions I can answer real fast, or you just want a quick brief overview? I don't know how much you actually...
I watched the Board of Safety meeting, I know what you said there.
So,
the council.
long and short of it is we're pretty much out of handguns, out of pistols, so we need to buy more. Ours are getting obsolete. They're not compatible with optics that go on the top, red dots. So we're looking to purchase 30 to outfit the whole department and have some on hand for spares and for new officers.
Sounds good. And the funding has been cleared through the clerk treasurer's office?
We talked about this the same day we talked about the cars, and yes, and this is another one of those where if we don't have the money for it, we're not gonna spend it, we're gonna scale back.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Hoopenthal?
I make a motion to proceed with the purchase of 30 firearms.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Carnahan, seconded by Ms. Rivera to approve the favorable recommendation from the Board of Safety to proceed with the purchase of 30 firearms. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teel?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
No.
Greg Cupido, sorry.
Hi, Greg.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Thank you. Number 4, approval of your 2026 Hanover Township contract. Trustee Toth, would you mind coming up, please? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. This is the same thing we do every year. We've had multiple discussions about this contract this year, and we've made a few changes I think you all are aware of. Plus, we've also changed the contract price a little bit, so to reflect some of the changes that we made. So I think it's a good deal for everybody, a good contract, so I would hope you guys will accept it.
And it's 2 payments of $92,500 semi-annually, total $185,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I know a lot of work went into this between the town and the township, and I'm grateful for the relationship we have with you and your board, and it seems to be mutually beneficial to the township, the residents in unincorporated area, as well as the town of Cedar Lake with the equipment you guys provide. So I'd like to keep this going and solicit.
We're always open for discussion.
Yeah. No, we always have productive discussions and dialogue, so I appreciate that. Attorney Austin, do you have anything on this?
I've reviewed it, the contract's clear.
Very good. Good deal. It looks like we'll solicit for a motion to approve
I'll
the
make a
contract.
motion to approve the 2026 Hanover Township contract.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Carnahan, seconded by Mr. Teel to approve the year 2026 Hanover Township Fire and EMS contract. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teel?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Kevin.
Just want to say thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
We do too. Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to reports, town council reports. Mr. Carnahan.
Tuesday, the 9th of December, will be the Chamber's Luncheon at Great Oaks at $20 a person. And the speaker will be our town manager, our police chief, and our fire chief.
Good.
Very good.
I just want to say thank you to Public Works. I mean, they were amazing. I never saw them come through my little subdivision so many times. I apologize, my son's car was on the road at one point because when I told him to move his car, I didn't know it was already in the driveway, so he thought I meant move it to the street. But anyway, they worked around it, and I think that I've heard a lot of good feedback. Of course, there's always going to be some areas that get overlooked, but just, make a call. Make a call to one of us, and we'll get that taken care of. But excellent work. I'm sure they're exhausted, and I hope this isn't a sign of winter to come.
Yeah. And I'll echo that with the fact that they did a terrific job. A lot of compliments on Facebook, and they had 2 trucks break down.
That happens. I know that all too well. Thank you, Ms. Rivera. I would like to request that we can have, with the council's blessing, a report added to these council agendas where we can report on new businesses that come to town. Plan Commission has a lot going on. I see a lot of new businesses that have been proposed and you guys have approved. Occupancy. I talked with the town manager about this recently. There's a lot of businesses that come to town that I don't even know about, especially like in the business parks, and I just think it's good to, maybe you could use the occupancy permits as a way of flagging that, so we can mention these businesses to the public and they can be patronized. So I'd ask that can be put on the agenda, and we could just do like a brief, explanation where they're at, what they do, and we don't even need to have them in here, but just that people are aware of the new businesses coming to town.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other town council reports?
It's not a report. I had a question because I know tomorrow is a work session for the planning commission, and I seen the email today about summer winds coming up, and I could have sworn that I made a motion to pull the bond on December 10th, not wait for them if they're going to renew it or not.
Made a motion and it carried.
But according to an email we got, that your motion was to pull them if they didn't renew. So I don't know if that's on the tape or not.
Negative. His motion was to pull it.
That's what I heard too when I watched.
Yeah.
That's my recollection.
Yeah. I'm just tired of I told you guys, I'm tired of fielding calls there that people they're justified in calling us and coming to these meetings, but we gotta move along with it. So we're gonna.
Because in the meantime, their roads aren't getting done or anything else to keep putting it off.
Yeah.
And then what we found out is every time we ask our engineer to go back, these projects that are lasting years and years and years, well, the developer only pays a certain amount, and then after that, it's the taxpayers paying our engineers to keep going on there.
Yeah, that's something we've got to work internally on too. Make sure we're made whole.
Because these projects going on, like I said, the taxpayers are doing it, and here, everyone thought that the developers are getting charged for that.
Mr. Usher, we need action on that item to make that so.
Your action would be ratification. Plan Commission sent a recommendation when they approved this, and this is the surety. So you would ratify the actions that were taken by the Plan Commissions. We do not have another public meeting either. So the surety is required under the subdivision control ordinance. That's why you can do this.
So that motion that Mr. Becker made was or was not a recommendation to the town council?
When the plat was approved, it was a recommendation as part of the platting process by the developer to the town. Now he's had extensions. The extensions are what we're talking about, but they're the same as the original letter of credit surety. So your actions here are to ratify the actions that existed, and the December 10th, Chuck?
December 10th on both.
Deadline for pulling if the work has not been completed. The project has not been completed. The development has not been completed.
Do you want both of them pulled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what the motion was on each one.
Is it the same day, Chuck?
Yes, December 10th.
So what kind of motion are we looking for, Attorney Austin?
Ratify the direction to pull the letters of credit for each of the Summer Winds parcels or projects
As directed by the Plan Commission.
as recommended by the Plan Commission.
Okay. Okay, do we have to have a motion to amend the agenda to do this?
Should.
Okay.
Make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion made by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Mr. Teal to amend the agenda to consider this item. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cuputo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. So now do we have a motion to ratify the actions of the Plan Commission, which were to pull on the letters of credit for Summer Winds Residential, both of them being pull dates of December 10th?
So moved.
Is that a good motion? Yeah?
That's a good motion.
Okay.
So moved.
We have a motion made by Mr. Teal. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Seconded by Mr. Becker. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cuputo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. The folks in Summer Winds, thank you all. Trust me. Okay. Any other town council reports? Town attorney, Attorney Austin.
No reports.
Thank you. Clerk Treasurer, Ms. Nagy.
DLGF did approve the excess levy appeal, so that has come through. And then today we had Travelers Insurance came and walked through all the buildings and asked us some questions and for risk management. So
Okay.
hopefully they'll, sign us up.
That would be good. Thank you. Town Manager, Mr. Eldridge.
I just want to second with the, street department did a great job plowing snow. I stayed in touch with Tim King Saturday night. And also to go along with what Margot said, I walked with the Travelers Insurance to all of the facilities, and the comment was made by them that Cedar Lake, we have it together. We have all of our policies and procedures are where they need to be, and it went very smoothly, and I think she was pretty impressed with how we're set up here. So it went good.
Yeah. No complaints. Good work, guys.
Hopefully the premium will reflect that.
Fingers are crossed.
There you go.
Okay, do we have any written communication?
I
Nothing?
haven't received anything.
Okay. All right, I'll open the floor up for public comment for the council. Public comment, please be mindful of the rules of decorum and please try to keep your comments constructive, civil, in 3 minutes. Good evening.
I don't know about that. Good evening.
Good evening.
Todd Wilkening, 12315 Kennedy Street, Cedar Lake. I just, and I'm going to address the council president because I'm a huge believer of the chain of command. I want the council and to know and to understand that I know all of you, and you know a lot of people in our community, and we know a lot of people that know each other. But on very numerous occasions in the past 9 months, I have been being trashed by certain individuals in this community that sit in positions in this community, either commissioners or council people. And if you take offense to this, you're guilty. Because if you're not guilty, this won't even bother you at all. Intoxicated members of our council, intoxicated members of our commissioners, in establishments trashing me, talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about. That's character assassination. I had a hard enough time as it was trying to find a job because the talk that was being talked about me after I went on leave of absence. I'm being forced to protect myself. So I'm here to not to ask, but to let everybody know that I'm going to have to put people on notice that I'm going to have to protect myself legally if this continues. Being in bars, my financial information being shared with people because people have connections in local establishments, my house being, stalked by certain people. I have cameras everywhere. I have people on audio in establishments where some people were trashing me and didn't realize they were talking out of turn, out of executive sessions and otherwise, and are recorded. Yes, some of you and some other commissioners be careful who you're talking to, especially about me, because people may be recording you and sending it back to me. I am tired of it. I have moved on. I want to live my life. I have a new job. I have a new career. I'm so happy I don't have to come to these meetings. I am so happy. And I just want a fresh start. That's what I'm asking for. And I want this stuff to stop. Because if not, I'm going to have to take legal action. Because I do have proof. I'm not going to move out of this community. And that goes for township government as well. Okay? So I'm just here to make this statement, so hopefully it's over with and final, so that next time any of you are out there in public deciding to trash me that could affect my livelihood again for a second time, because trust me, it was tried with my current job. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not. I've been here my whole life. I didn't walk around this town with my eyes and ears closed for 40 years. None of you live in glass houses. Thank you for being
Thank you, Mr. Welkeny. Any other public comment?
Jake Huppenthal, PO Box 216, Cedar Lake. For next year, are we looking at any type of increase in health insurance costs or dental, vision?
Yes, dental is going up 10%, and the Anthem for the medical is going up 8.4%.
Thank you. Any other public comment for the council? Last call. Oh, please step on up, ma'am.
Joyce Ivy, 13874 Hatteras. I attended the Parade of Lights for the first time ever. And I have to say that I had a really great time. My granddaughters had a wonderful time. I waved at every policeman, every fireman, everybody, because it was a great feeling. It was a great time. It was, my little town, and great job, guys.
Yeah.
Good time.
That was run by the Cedar Lake Chamber of Commerce. All right.
Thank you,
I'll
ma'am.
let them know as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for the positivity, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else for public comment? Anybody online, Margot?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Public comment is now closed. Our next meeting will be held here Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Everybody have a good evening, and thank you for attending. This meeting is adjourned at 8:45 p.m.